The Conservatives have turned their focus in a different direction, unveiling a pledge to offer increased protection to the workers should the party win in June. Well, Prime Minister Theresa May pledged to continue raising the national living wage, currently £7.50 an hour, in line with average earnings until 2022. She also said she would introduce a statutory right to a year's unpaid leave to care for a relative, and would grant new protection for workers' pensions in the wake of corporate scandals such as the collapse of BHS. So Carolyn Fairbairn is Director General of the CBI, and she joins me now. So Carolyn, your friends over at the British Chambers of Commerce today have said that they're worried about the prospect of more costly and bureaucratic new regulations. Do you go along with that?
Well, I do think there are things to welcome in here, as an overall package. So the guarantees around the translation of European workers' rights into UK law, in a time when we need maximum certainty, really important. The devil will be in the detail in some of these recommendations. We have got a very vibrant labour market. We've created 2 million jobs since 2012. We need to protect that. I have to say, I think there are some areas where we would have welcomed and will hopefully see more evidence of a focus on social mobility and not just measurement.
But what about this proposal for allowing someone to take a year off to care for a sick relative? I mean, it sounds a wonderful thing, but if you're running a small business, that's potentially quite costly and damaging, isn't it?
I think this is where the devil is in the detail. And I think that is absolutely right. For small businesses, that is challenging. Now, I think the ambition is a very good one. We have an ageing society. These are responsibilities that many of us will have. And I think employers are very sensitive to that. But I hope through a process of consultation we can arrive at something which will work for all sides.
Now, one of the other proposals, Theresa May seems to have dropped finally this idea of having a workers' representative on boards, but she wants non-executive directors, every board to have a non-exec director tasked with looking out for employees. I mean, non-execs aren't going to be falling over themselves to take that burden, are they?
I think actually if you look at what has been proposed, it is a range of options. And I think one of the things that is very good about where we are is that there is no absolutely mandated answer. So it could be a non-executive director, it could be an advisory council, or it could actually be a worker representative. So I think the important thing is that companies have options here, and there is nothing mandated.
They're also talking potentially about blocking takeover bids if it affects the sustainability of a pension fund in future. Is that going to throw grit in the wheel in terms of the sort of M&A process?
We've got to be very careful. I mean, I go back to the fact that we've benefited from being an open economy, and the world is watching us at the moment in terms of some of the signals about openness. So I think we have to be careful. Again, let's look at the detail. I think that there are some protections that could be effective, and there are others that would be damaging. So we just need to be very aware of our brand globally and to keep that openness at the forefront of our minds.
That's a really interesting point that you raise. So what are the messages that are being transmitted to the rest of the world, in your opinion?
I think overall that we are remaining an open economy, that we are continuing to want to attract the best investment to our shores. I think it will be very interesting when we see the manifestos this week to see how strongly that message has been heard. It's a very important time for us to communicate our commitment to thriving business, to open economies, to attracting the brightest and best. And it's an opportunity for the manifestos to set that out.
It doesn't really feel at the moment as if any of the main parties are talking that much about business or even standing up for business. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn, for example, wants to raise corporation tax. Theresa May here seemingly adding layers of bureaucracy. No, who's standing up for business in this campaign?
Well, I think this is a time for real pride in business, actually. So in terms of the challenges that we face and the opportunities, it is going to be the employers, the investors, the creators of jobs, the innovators that are going to create the jobs of the future. And it is a time for pride in business. And again, I very much hope that we will see that from both parties, indeed all parties, when they reveal their manifestos later this week. It's a very important time for our economy.
Presumably you're not overly enthused by the idea of a rise in corporation tax, though?
I think, again, signals around the world need to be taken very seriously. So we do know that a competitive corporation tax rate has been one of the drivers of inward investment. It has created great jobs, and we want to see more of it in the future. So, again, I think that is something which we just need to be very careful about in terms of the mix of tax measures that are introduced.